Can you take us through the general framework? It seems as though there are not a lot of details yet, but what did we agree on with Mexico?
So what we agreed on with Mexico was sort of a preliminary update of NAFTA. President Trump said yesterday he doesn't want to call it that, but what they did was modernize that deal because it's almost 25 years old. So they changed the automotive rules, which means that they are increasing the amount of content in every car produced in North America that must be sourced from within North America. They're increasing that threshold. They're increasing what percentage of a car must be produced by workers earning at least $16 an hour. That was a big fight between the U.S. and Mexico because they're trying to raise wages down there in Mexico. And they're also increasing the amount of North American steel and aluminum included in those cars. So, the broad changes that we've seen so far have related to automobiles, and various review mechanisms and other things as well are still on the table, but those need to be discussed with Canada as well. So the car details are sort of what we found out yesterday.
So Megan, it's fair to say that the auto thing has always been the main kind of focal point, if you will, with these trade talks between Canada, Mexico, and the U.S. What exactly is the next step now for the U.S. and Canada as we have this kind of framework of an agreement with the U.S.-Mexico trade agreement?
Sure. So they really need to bring Canada back into the fold, and that's supposed to happen this morning. Canada's foreign minister is supposed to be back in Washington today to start resuming these talks trilaterally. And if the U.S. isn't able to make any significant headway with Canada, and there are still a significant number of issues on the table relating to dairy, relating to government procurement, all these really controversial things, it's not going to be easy. And if the U.S. can't bring Canada back into the fold, they're going to face an uphill battle trying to get Congress and business groups and industry groups to try to accept a two-way deal with Mexico when they said that the whole time they were negotiating a three-way deal with both Canada and Mexico.
What does NAFTA exist the way, I mean, first of all, we know NAFTA is not going to exist the way it does right now going forward, but do we get a NAFTA that maybe does get everybody in the fold if certain things can be agreed on, and how long would that take?
Certainly, we can get there, and that's what the administration's been pushing for. That's actually what all three administrations have been pushing for more than a year now in these negotiations. How long it would take, it's going to be tricky because the Trump administration, the trade advisor, Robert Lighthizer, indicated yesterday that they're planning on sending formal notification to Congress on Friday of this week that they have a deal. That gives them 4 days of negotiations to try to get all three parties on the same page. It's not impossible, but it's going to be really tricky. I think, obviously they have some room beyond that if they want to keep working with Canada. The Trump administration also indicated that they might just notify Congress that they have a deal with Mexico and they're still working with Canada and they hope Canada joins in. But they're really giving themselves 4 days as of now, and then it's going to get a lot murkier after Friday in terms of what do we actually have? Will Congress legally allow the administration to move forward with a two-way agreement when they thought they were getting a three-way one, and where we go from there?
Megan, before we let you go, one last point here. A lot of folks are saying that the progress with Mexico, potential progress with Canada, maybe means that we could see progress on the big one, which is China. What are your sources? What are you reporting? What does it say about maybe the progress on that front?
It's unclear as of now. We actually heard Trump talk about it for one of the first times, or at least one of the first times recently yesterday. And he said now is not the time to negotiate with China. But I think, beyond just that, what we do know is that if they do get NAFTA off their plate, this gives the Trump administration a lot more leeway to work with China. We know that Ambassador Lighthizer, the trade representative, he was sort of hesitant to even reopen NAFTA because he wanted to focus more on China in the first place a year ago. And so we know that they're trying to clear the runway, they're trying to clear the decks. And the other thing that we know is that, there's been some fallout and sort of some pushback against the administration's trade policies because there is a lot of hurt right now, for example, in farm country and others who are sort of bearing the brunt of these tariffs. And so we know that if the administration is successful and can ultimately reach this deal with Canada and Mexico, it looks like they're going to start saying, well, stick with us for a little bit longer. We know it's hard right now, but clearly the tariffs worked with Canada and Mexico to get a good deal and a better deal, and so stick with us on China and we're going to work it out.